Welcome to Swap Moto Live and welcome to this week's episode of Inside SML presented by our friends at O'Neill. We've got a lot to get into in this week's episode, from a contract signing, some major track changes, injury updates, and more. So here's everything you need to be in the know heading into Spring Creek. All right, guys, let's start off with probably the biggest news of the week, and that is in regards to Red Bull KTM Factory Racing's Eli Tomac, who, as you saw, I'm sure on Tuesday, made the announcement that he will be back at the races following his crash at Fox Raceway. Funny enough, Eli's first laps really with the team since taking the time off following that crash at Fox Raceway with Garrett Marchbanks was back at Fox Raceway. Yeah, we saw him on Tuesday doing a lot of laps and some testing with suspension out at Fox Raceway. He looked really good. I'm sure you guys have seen some of the raw clips. The guy is back in beast mode, and yeah, he looked comfy and ready to go for this weekend in Spring Creek. So if I'm being honest, we haven't seen a whole lot from Eli, which that's an Eli thing. I didn't really know when we would see him back at the races, if at all, this summer, and I didn't know how he would look when he made his return. But after watching him in person on Tuesday, I think he's going to be back to normal Eli Tomac beast mode tendencies, and I'm excited to see what he can do, get in the mix with Deegan, the Lawrence brothers, and more. Now, to reflect back a little bit on Soutwick, we saw a lot of crashes. Some people want to blame the more hard pack, not so rip deep and faster track. I'm kind of on that end of things, but yeah, it's motocross, people get hurt, and unfortunately we saw a lot of crashes. Now, probably the most significant news from those crashes is what was the championship points leader, Joe Shimoda, on his Team Honda HRC progressive bike, who went down in qualifying, broke his collarbone, and hit his head. Shockingly, Joe Shimoda revealed just a couple hours ago on social media that he's done for the summer, which is a heartbreaking. A lot of us suspected if it was just a collarbone, sure, the concussion's more significant, but he wasn't knocked out. We saw him try and ride after the crash. So we were thinking maybe he'd take 1 week off at worst, and we'd see him back out at Shugel. But yeah, Joe Shimoda took to social media today to announce that he's done for the summer. Maybe there's some more serious damage in that shoulder. I don't think so. There wasn't an official PR at the time of this recording from Honda saying otherwise. So yeah, a little bit shocking on my end. Big bummer. Definitely a heartbreaker, but I'm sure we'll see Joe back at the races for the SMX playoffs. And if we don't, that's going to be really, really shocking. On to some more updates. Christian Craig had a horrendous crash in the 450 class, which ultimately brought out a red flag and ended the moto early. Big bummer for Christian Craig. He did end up breaking some wings on his back, kind of similar to what we saw with Barsha at the beginning of the year, if you remember. So nothing too crazy, nothing he's going to need surgery for, but at the end of the day, still broken back, still got fractures in his back with Christian Craig too. Obviously, he's already dealt with that in his career, so definitely a scary thing for him. It looks like he is going to be taking a few weeks off, obviously, from racing, but he didn't really address the situation on a specific time period of when he'll be back at the outdoors, but more so for World Supercross. So he's hopeful that he'll be racing at World Supercross this year still, so that's some good news. It's going to be interesting to see when we see him stateside, though, and if he's going to be in World Supercross first before we see him back at the Nationals or the playoffs. On a similar note, Monster Energy Pro Circuit Kawasaki's Nick Romano also had a horrendous crash, which resulted in some back fractures. I'm not sure if you guys have seen the fan video of this crash, but it is burly. Probably about as worse as it could get for that type of crash. So glad Nick Romano was able to remount miraculously and ride back to the pits. Obviously, ultimately, he's got some fracture in his back, so he's not going to be at the races anytime soon. Hopefully, he heals up quickly, though. On the same note, Cameron McAdoo, we've talked about this already. He's not returning with the team. I think he wanted to be back on the bike a little bit earlier on, but then he was able to ride a couple weeks ago, and he's been riding here in Southern California for quite some time. Going to be curious to see if Cameron McAdoo gets the call up from Mitch to do some races now in Pro Motocross, just because obviously they've got some injuries now with Romano as well. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we see Cameron McAdoo back at the races pretty soon under the Monster Energy Pro Circuit Kawasaki rig. Saw him doing motos Tuesday at Fox Raceway with Eli. He's looking good. I think he noted he's not going as fast as he would like to at the moment, so I'd be shocked to see him this weekend. But yeah, at the time of this recording, no announcement. Doubt we'll see him this weekend, but I'm sure we'll see him at the races soon. And to round things out with the injury updates, we have some more collarbone fractures. Triumph Racing's Deacon Deno broke his collarbone after a nasty crash, so we won't be seeing him for a little bit. And then obviously Sasha Kunin, we wouldn't see him regardless, but yeah, he broke his collarbone as well. Still finished the race. Pretty gnarly. That kid definitely earned a lot of respect and a lot of fans with that performance. He got it plated, I believe, in Texas on Sunday night, and is flying to continue his championship hunt in MX2. So props to that kid. Going to be interesting to see how everything goes for him this weekend. All right, that's enough for the injury updates. We actually had some more shocking news this week in regards to Max Anstie. If you remember last week, him and the Monster Energy Star Racing Yamaha crew called it quits and mutually decided to terminate their contract early. Well, it didn't take long for Max Anstie to find a new home, and he has inked a new 2-year Supercross-only deal with the Club MX team. This is in joint with the Rick Ware team, which Club MX and Rick Ware work together for the World Supercross Championship. So this will allow Max Anstie to defend his World Supercross title this year and then continue racing it in the future, all while racing Supercross here in the States with the Club MX crew. So pretty unique deal. Going to be interesting to see Club MX have another top tier guy. We haven't really seen that since J-Mart, and that didn't go really well on either part. So obviously Club MX has furthered since then, and they've become quite a threat in the 250 class. So going to be really interesting to see how Max Anstie does next year aboard the privateer Yamaha. He's won a race, I think, the last 4 years. So you got to think he wants to win again come 2027. And lastly, for news, we are headed to Spring Creek, Millville this weekend for Pro Motocross, and this is probably my favorite stop on the circuit to watch on TV. I love this track. It's a dream of mine to ride it one day, and there's some big changes. A-Mart, J-Mart, and the whole crew have made quite a bit of changes trying to slow things down. There's some chicanes with the hills. Yeah, it's going to be a slower track, which could be good. I just talked about the injuries we saw at Soutwick with how fast and hard pack it was, so hopefully they rip Spring Creek deep. But yeah, don't be surprised if you're a little shocked at the track map or in time qualifying when you see some slower speeds on the hills, maybe some changes in the whoops. As of now, I think I just saw a picture. It looks more like a rhythm section, so hopefully that's not for race day. But yeah, going to be an interesting weekend at Spring Creek. Probably one of the best stops on the circuit. All right, guys, that's about all I have for news this week. If you haven't already, be sure to check out the SML show we did with Carson Mumford, where he discusses his struggles in recent years, joining the AEO KTM Power Sports team, and really how great of a summer he's been having thus far. So check that out if you haven't already. Check out all of our other content, our On 2 show, my Heatwave vlog that went up last week. Don and I are infatuated with our two-strokes right now. I cannot stop thinking about my YZ125. I had so much fun. I think I just posted a little bit clip on our Instagram of just some GoPro from yesterday at Kuya, and it's going a little bit viral, getting a lot of clicks. So if you want to see more of that type of stuff, go check out my Heatwave vlog from last week where I spun my first laps on the YZ125. But as always, guys, thanks for all the love. Thanks for the support. Shout out to O'Neal. Go get some 2027 gear, and I'll see you guys next week.